Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You're listening to That Infernal Noise, now part of the Mental Health News Radio Network. Now on to the show.
I never really know how to start this. That's why I like whenever I do it with Niche, because she has that in her where she can introduce herself and everybody else and everybody feel comfortable and all that crap. It's kind of nice to have that counterbalance, I guess. Not I guess. It is nice to have that counterbalance. Today, I don't really know what I want to do. I kind of have an idea. I had a lot of realizations in my therapy session this week, which was yesterday as I'm recording this. Recording this on Wednesday. I go to therapy on Tuesdays. It was really nice. I realized, like, just talking through things, it makes me realize various things about myself and the way my mind works, my mindset, and things that I actually think and I don't exactly verbalize on a regular basis. I tend to keep my mouth shut about a lot because I feel like I have verbalized a lot, and with the exception of a few people, and coincidentally the people I am closest to right now, nobody's really taking the time to understand where I come from on a lot of things, a lot of subjects. And I realized that in my therapy session. She presented it to me, my therapist presented it to me in the bridge metaphor. There's two people in a relationship on either side of a canyon. Both has materials to build half of a really good bridge. But if one person decides they don't want to build that bridge, and the other person is trying to get across, they have enough materials to build one rickety-ass bridge. Or if they work together, they could build a really strong, sturdy bridge. I've realized over the course of my life, I don't know if I look for it necessarily, but I've surrounded myself at times, historically, with a lot of people, with the people that don't want to build the other side of the bridge. And it's something I'm struggling with now. It's one of the main things I struggle with, actually. I'm getting past it, sort of. I don't want to fall into the same habits and just, I don't want to fall into line anymore. I don't want to be the guy to, oh yeah, everything's cool, everything's fine, I'm just going to look the other way. Like, I've done that for a very long time with a lot of people. I've done it with everybody I know at some point. Well, with the exception of a couple, maybe. And I realized, I had a moment after my therapy. I realized who I'm really grateful for. And, I mean, it's not a huge list, which is unfortunate because I used to have a very large circle of friends that, we said we were family. We said that ride or die, loyalty or death, blah, 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 blah. And I think part of me at the time knew it was bullshit and that it was just words because I'm not one that just believes in words. I have to see the action behind it. I have to see the support behind it in order to really feel it. And the people that are really there for me have never had to say, I'm there for you. If that makes sense. Because I knew it. It's like I can count on a certain number of people in my life. And those are the people that I choose to be around. Those are the people that I want to be around. Those are the people I want my kids around. And I look forward to it. For so long, so many of us perpetuate this cycle of allowing ourselves to be around negativity. And while negativity in and of itself may not be bad, it's really not. It's the opposite. You have to have negative in your life to appreciate the positive, and yada, 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 and whatever other karmatic or whatever saying you want to go with. I do believe that. I do believe that there is no light without the dark. There's no dark without the light. You can't know what one is without knowing the other. It took me getting a little bit older to realize that, unfortunately. I wish I had. I mean, I knew it as a younger kid. Like, I had the idea, but it was one of those things where you kind of ignore all that and go with the flow and just have everything kind of play out the way that it's quote unquote supposed to. I'm over that in my life. I don't like entitled people. I don't like people that manipulate people. I don't like alpha male bullshit. I don't like a whole lot of things that a lot of people perpetuate in this culture. I just don't dig it, and I'm not here for it. I'm not going to be around it. I'm going to surround myself and surround my family with loving, caring people that want to be better. I've gotten over the point of wanting to maintain things just because I'm supposed to maintain them. I'm not building bridges for people that would just soon set it on fire, I guess is the best way to put it. And even in knowing logically that I'm doing the distancing and all of that for myself and for my betterment, I still feel guilty. I feel very guilty. Because I have a misguided sense of loyalty amongst everything in my life. It's a toxic loyalty, to be completely honest. It's been blind loyalty at times. And I think a lot of us have that. It stems from codependency, obviously. And I quell my personality in order to fit in. Well, I have quelled my personality in order to fit in with a lot of other people, and it ultimately got me nowhere. It got me lost in the truest sense of the word. Like, I did not know who I was anymore. At moments I did. At moments I knew what I loved and what I was into, and like there were these glimmers of hope and these certain pockets of time where I'd be watching something or I'd hear something or whatever, and I would turn into my actual self. And my actual self is the heart on the sleeve guy, the passionate guy. I'm very passionate about a lot of stuff. Some would see it as a detriment. I used to think that, but now I don't see it as a hindrance. I see it as a positive. I'm a very passionate person. I enjoy things. Like, that whole stop to smell the roses thing, I'm always wanting to do that. I'm always wanting to appreciate the bigger picture and, the grand scheme of things. It's like I enjoy all of it. I enjoy the journey. I enjoy all of it. I can find beauty in poetry and just about anything. I mean, there's music that I don't typically listen to. And just for whatever reason, I'll just be like, hey, I'm going to throw this on real quick, see if I'm feeling it or not. Niche got me into EDM, doing that exact thing. Like, I wasn't super into it. I listened to techno and stuff like that whenever I was younger, but I wasn't into it. And she played something for me. I think it was Skrillex. And for some reason, it just resonated with me. I was like, dude, this is so fucking cool. Like, yeah, it sounds like robots hopped up on ecstasy, either beating the shit out of each other or having sex with each other. I don't know which one. But it sounds cool. Like, I like it. It's aggressive, but it's also bouncy and like. And I would just go on these tirades, like, oh man, and like, this is really cool. And then, oh, well, I heard this song that Tech just did, and it blah, 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 blah. And like, just go on these tirades, these rants, but not from like a negative place, from like an excited place. And just like, oh, this is so cool. Like, I got to explain to you why I think this is so cool. And the only person that's ever really cultivated that in me is Niche. It's like there's very few people that cultivate things in our lives. Like the thing that I thought was the biggest hindrance or the biggest negative to me was my passion, me wearing my heart on my sleeve, me getting just like super into stuff and like super obsessive, because whenever I get into something, I have to get obsessive about it, and I have to learn every single thing about this band or this wrestler or whatever the situation is. I have to figure out where they came from, what their upbringing was like, and blah 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 blah. And I used to think it was a hindrance. I've been made fun of for stuff like that my entire life, because I can't just enjoy something for what it is. I have to enjoy it for what it is, but I have to understand why it is. I have to see the bigger picture. I have to understand where that fits in the grand scheme of things. I can't just listen to the lyrics and get what I get out of it. I have to understand what the artist meant by it. And I don't think that's a bad thing. But I've been told it's a bad thing for so long. I've been told that, well, that's the way you see it. That's not the way it is. Da, da, da. Okay, that's fine, but there's a phrase that always resonates with me in those moments. Perception is reality. My perception is this particular thing is negative to me. I don't like it. Your perception of it is, well, that doesn't matter because it's not real. Okay. Where's your empathy? Where is your understanding? I understand you're following the logic and you don't intend that and yada, 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 but how does that help me in this situation? And I know that sounds selfish, but whenever we're expressing our feelings, we have to not dull that down. We have to not turn it down or turn it off just because somebody else's intent wasn't what we took it as. Because I understand people's intent. I understand that certain things may get said and it's innocuous to them, but for whatever reason, usually trauma-based or history-based or whatever, we react a certain way because that's what we were trained to do. That's what we've had to do historically because other people intended the negative things that they're saying. Not to express themselves, but to hurt, to get under people's skin, or your skin, or whatever the situation. And I've been 100% guilty of it myself. And if you're cool with that, more power to you. If you're cool with constant negative and, just being, and you're content in that, I mean, everybody functions differently. I used to function differently. I used to function in the discontent. I used to function in the chaos and all that stuff. And I prided myself that I could thrive in chaos. And I treated it like it was a badge of honor. Like I was always strong and I always sucked it up. And I'm the man and never shed a fucking tear and blah, whatever. That alpha male monkey bullshit. It got me nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. Because I didn't like who I looked. I could not look at myself in the mirror. I literally couldn't. And I used to be a vainglorious bastard. Which I'm sure everybody that has known me for any amount of time will tell you. I would stare at myself in the mirror. I was very, just like, damn, I'm pretty. And I see that in my son now, and it's just like, oh, fuck, great. I'm creating another one. It's not enough that he looks so much like me. He's like, of course, he has to act like me too whenever I was a kid. Great. That's not karma biting me in the ass. But I miss being able to look at myself in the mirror. I miss being able to see myself. And, everybody thought that it was just the, oh, well, he's obsessed with his appearance. And it's like, okay, yeah, but not for the reason you think. It's not because I think I'm pretty. It's because I'm trying to figure myself out. And the way I figure other people out is by looking them in the eyes and seeing their intent, seeing into their soul, like forming a deeper connection through the eyes, through studying the nuances of their face whenever they're talking or whatever the situation is. And I can't do that with myself. And it got to the point where I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror because I didn't recognize the person that I saw. And I still don't to a certain extent. Like, there's moments where I look in the mirror and I'm like, that's you. That's the real you. And sitting here right now thinking of myself. It's like I have a certain image in my head of myself, but then whenever I go to the mirror, that image doesn't match what I see in my head. And it's not all that different. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem complete. And I think that's from the years of dumbing myself down or dulling myself or however you want to put it. I don't care to do that anymore. I don't care to swallow my pride and all of that shit. I'm a very prideful person, but I'm not prideful in a negative way. I'm prideful in a positive way. I'm prideful of my wife. I'm prideful of my children, the family that I've built, the body of work that I've built, my career. Like, I've earned all of this. I've put in the time. I've put in the effort. And I know a lot of people that haven't. And I've watched a lot of people get handed stuff time after time after time. And ultimately, I'm happy. I'm happy for strangers. Like, most of the time, I'm happy for strangers. And if I find myself not being happy for somebody, that means that there's something truly negative about whatever relationship it is. There's something toxic about it. Because if I can't be happy for somebody that I know versus somebody I know on Facebook or whatever the situation is, that's not good. It's not healthy. I have to get away from that. I have to understand myself and understand what I need and what I want. And what I want in life is to not perpetuate the same cycles. I want to do what my grandfather taught me whenever I was a kid. Your goal should be to leave this world better than you found it. And as a kid, you don't really understand the gravitas of a statement like that. I mean, I'm 37 and I don't know if I fully understand that, but I think I have a good idea now. I'm not this super important person. I'm not somebody that is like literally changing the world and like famous and influencing all of these people. It's like, I'm not doing that because I thought that's what that meant. I thought it meant that you have to attain some status or some stature or something, which isn't true. And I've realized that as I've gotten older. It's not that I'm looking for. Or it's not that I want, rather. What I want is I want to change the world by doing what I do best. And what I do best is parenting. What I do best is being there for people and trying to be positive and trying to get people to open their minds and see things from another perspective and have empathy and compassion. That's what I'm good at. I'm not looking for people to use that against me anymore. I'm over breaking my back for people that would not do the same. And they wouldn't do the same. Like, it in your heart and you joke about it and you think it's funny and ha 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 ha. And then you really take a step back and look at it and just like, fuck. This is the way it is. After blood, sweat, and tears, after whatever is shared, I mean less to you than you do to me. And I've had relationships like that, like intimate, amorous relationships where you realize that you're more into the person than they're into you, which is unfortunate. Because I feel like I have a lot of love to give, as corny as that sounds. I was like, I love completely. I love totally. Sometimes too much. Sometimes it's overbearing to people. And the people that have found me overbearing it didn't work out. Was it just because of that? No, probably not. But it does come into play. It does come into play whenever people don't like something about you. And no, everybody's not going to like everything about you. They shouldn't. But the people that you have closest in your circle, they should want to be what you want them to be for you, if that makes sense. Not to change their personality to suit you. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the symbiosis that we should all form in our circles. Whenever I'm together with my crew, there's an understanding. Drama's at the door. All right? You leave it the fuck there. We're not doing that today. We're not doing that today, not because we don't have that, not because we don't feel that, but because whenever we're together, this is our time. This is important to us. We're not going to sit on our asses and do nothing like we always do while we're alone. No, we're going to sit here. We're going to talk. We're going to cut up. We're going to have a good fucking time because that's what this is for. That's our family. That's what we do. And I've realized I don't have time or compassion for people that fuck that up. I don't. If you want to do that, that's cool. If you want to deal with the same cycles and the same shit that's perpetuated throughout your life and everybody else's, fine. I try to be empathetic. I try to be understanding, but I only have so much patience for it. I only have so much patience for something whenever I'm not getting anything in return. You know, because Nisha and I have gone through hell and back several times. Some situations we couldn't control. Some situations were my fault. Some situations were her fault. And we've met in the middle every time. It might take a while. It might be a lot of butting heads. It might be a lot of heartbreak and heartache or whatever. But in the end, I'm in this for the long haul with her, and she's right there with me. It's a symbiosis. It's an understanding. I'm not changing who I am for you. And you're not changing who you are for me, but we're changing each other for the better so we can be better, so we can have a stronger relationship. So it's us against everybody else, if need be. So I can count on her. So I know that if anything happens, I got one fucking person on this planet that I can count on. And we try to perpetuate that through our friend circle. And we do. We've surrounded ourselves, like our circle has gotten progressively smaller over the 10 years we've been together. It used to be way fucking bigger. And everybody was down for life and ride or die and blah, 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 blah. And we talked to none of them. The ones that I know are ride or die for me, never had to say it. I've never asked it. I just knew. Because that's just the way it is. We tell each other we love each other. We tell each other how much we care and how much we appreciate each other and all of that shit. Well, with the exception of Bub, because he don't do feelings all that well. But we know. Like, he's the big brother. And that's okay, too. I noticed that I refrain from, whenever I go on my texting sprees and just like, oh, dude, I just want to say I appreciate you and I miss you and blah, 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 and like whatever I'm saying. I try to refrain from doing that with him, but that's only because I know how uncomfortable it makes him. And it's one thing to do it face to face and get that cringe effect, but just doing it through text is weird for me to do to him specifically. But that's the type of relationship that we all have. Like, I never have a better time than whenever I'm with the crew. You know, I mean, outside of the kids and all that stuff. But I mean, I guess I expect that. It's like I know I'm gonna have a good time with my kids and my wife. You know what I mean? Like, it's always fun. Like if it's just us and there's no work and there's no drama that we're having to deal with from outside sources, or there's no back and forth between me and niche button heads, and we're just sitting down. It's just the six of us, dude. That's so awesome. It's just, it's content, it's happiness, it's everything that I've ever wanted. And that's kind of what happened on Saturday. Saturday, I had a freak out. I'm sitting there with my sister, my brother in law, whom I adore immensely. Their two kids are running around with my younger two kids, acting a damn fool, which I love. I mean, I get annoyed with it whenever it's just my kids, don't get me wrong, but just, I explained it to Nish, and I don't understand how my sister and I are so close. I've never gotten it. We didn't grow up together, hardly at all. There's 11 and a half years difference between the two of us, and somehow we're close. I think whatever energy is out there that created the relationship I have with my sister, and we didn't do anything. We just talked. It was bullshit, laugh, watch the kids act just dumb as hell. Chris and Kaylee were hanging out with the four adults, and the four little ones were off doing their own thing, just having a blast playing with their cousins and all that stuff. And it was amazing. It was amazing. And we eat lunch, and we're sitting down on the couch and just watching something innocuous, just in silence. And it wasn't an uncomfortable silence whatsoever. And like Crystal always does, she ends up nodding off, laying on her husband, and we're all sitting on the couch. And it was just one of those, what I would consider, and most people probably wouldn't consider, a perfect moment for me personally, because it didn't make sense why she and I have the relationship we do. And all I've ever wanted my entire life is to be close with her and for us to have this relationship, because I never thought I would. So I always had this the perfect idea of what our relationship would be, and I never thought it would end up like this. I wanted it to. This was the idea that I had, but I didn't think it would end up like this, because I was such a fuck up, and because there was so much age difference and a million other excuses that I put in my head. But it did end up exactly like I wanted. And it was just quiet. She nods off. She starts snoring. And the brain kicks on. And it just starts going and going. I typed out some thoughts about this shit. Typed out a lot of thoughts about this shit, actually. It's Saturday, 6/19, and I don't know what is wrong with me. Nothing happened. Sis and Aaron came over with the kids. We spent the afternoon hanging out and talking. Sis got sleepy, as she always does, and she and Aaron nodded off on the couch, and I got really anxious. I'm not sure why, but I feel like when things are going well and everything is calm and I'm at peace, my survival kicks in and tries to create something wrong, or my body tries to go into that mode and makes me feel like something's wrong. I almost immediately removed myself from the moment and went to take a shower to try to wash it off of me, to no avail. I got out and the feeling was much the same. They left shortly thereafter, and I felt personally responsible, like they thought I didn't want to be around them, which is definitely not the case. I put my headphones on and try to work, since it's the only thing I feel like I'm good at, and I couldn't focus enough to accomplish anything, which perpetuates the feeling of inadequacy for some reason. It also turned into being down about Father's Day, because I don't really have expectations but I feel like no one is going to care about it or me. I'm thinking it has something to do with my parental abandonment issues. I always felt disconnected from those holidays and my birthday and I didn't understand it until recently, that it was because of my biological parents. For Mother's Day, it's easy for me not to spiral because I can focus on Niche and how amazing of a mother she is. But for Father's Day, I'm just left to my own devices, and when I was young, I would dwell on not having a father. And now, as it gets close, I think the same plays out, but ends up making me think that I'm the failure somehow. And that was basically the gist of what I felt. And there was no reason why. And I think that stems from all of the years of me trying with so many people and accomplishing nothing. Me extending the olive branch or trying to set proper boundaries or expectations or just not wanting to see somebody hurt themselves, only to have that exact thing happen, or whatever the situation is. And I'm so used to everything just falling to shit because that's what everybody's shown me, that I expect it to happen now. It's never happened with my sister. It's never happened with my kids. But I still worry about that. I still get that fear and that anxiety, and it's overwhelming at times. So overwhelming. But this time, on Saturday, I handled it a lot better because I have been standing my ground with everything else. I've been putting my foot down. I've been distancing myself from negative and toxic situations, and I've been focusing on the positives and the good things that I want to do and the things that I want to accomplish. And, you know, I can focus on the kids and how amazing they're getting or being, or just them being them, how amazing they are as people. And yeah, that's prideful, and yeah, I'm probably biased because they're my kids, but fuck you, my kids are awesome. As is my wife. I'm proud of her too. I love being around her. She's my favorite person to be around on this fucking planet. And I won't let people take away from that. I won't let anybody make any of them feel like less. I won't let anybody make me feel like I'm less or I don't deserve the best or whatever, because I do. And they do. I can't keep putting energy into something that doesn't reciprocate that energy at some point. I'm not the filler talk guy. I'm not the water cooler talk guy. I'm the let's talk about the stars in the universe and the meaning of life and time travel and just all of these fantastic things that you're never going to actually be able to figure out. But the conversation is so fucking amazing that it doesn't matter if you figure it out or not. That's what I look for. That's what I want. That's who I want to surround myself with. I want to get off on a tirade about how we've grown up and how everything's getting better, not how everything's stayed the same or gotten worse. Because that's the doomsday. That's everything that I did whenever I was a kid. Well, everything's going to get worse. And it did. Now I look at my life and my life ain't fucking bad. I got it good. Could it be better? 100%. If it was that big of a deal to me, I'd work harder. But I'm happy where I'm at. I don't have a giant house that some other people have. I don't have the brand new cars and all that shit that other people have, but I don't care about that. I can't say never have. But it's not me. That's not me. I want something, whenever I look for a car, I want something that all six of us can fit in because that's important to me. Whenever we were looking at houses, I wanted something that Niche was going to be happy with. Because I could live in a box. As long as I was with her, I would not give a shit. But I wanted her to be happy. I wanted her to be proud of the house she has and all of that. And we have turned this house into our home. We don't complain about it. We don't want for more. I mean, yes, we have goals and there's things we want to accomplish and all that stuff, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and we're not hung up on that. We're not looking to the horizon. We're enjoying the moment. And I don't know what my point was with all this. I guess Nisha's right. I probably should have an outline whenever I start doing these. But I kind of like it. I kind of like the stream of consciousness feel. I like just kind of talking and seeing where the wind goes, basically. If I had to put a topic on it, I would say that it's okay to distance ourselves from things that we think we don't need anymore. It's okay to change. It's okay to outgrow things. Is it unfortunate sometimes? Yeah. Does it hurt? Of course. But if you soul search and you really put your mind and your heart into it, you'll figure out what's really important. Every time I've gone against my gut, something bad has happened. Now, I'm not exaggerating that. Like, I just have this sixth sense, this intuition, whatever you want to call it. You can ask Niche, you can ask anybody, and I'm really good at that for some reason. And anytime I've ignored it, those were the times where it was a slap in the face, or something was behind my back, or I was lied to, or manipulated, or whatever the situation was. And my gut right now is telling me that I'm doing the right thing. My heart and my head agree. And if all three of those things line up, I can't be wrong. Regardless of what anybody may tell me about any situation. I'm doing the best for me. And even though that may hurt other people, I can't worry about that. No, I'm not saying you go shoot up a fucking Walmart or any dumb shit like that. I just mean as far as taking care of yourself. If you feel yourself in a negative situation, take yourself the fuck out of it. Period. My wife did it with her mom. And I watch the effects of that every single day. Good and bad. Way more good, if I'm being honest. My mom and I had it out. And I explained to her just about everything that I've ever felt. And she respected it. She understood it, and we're starting to move on. But if that's not how that conversation went, my relationship with my mother would be much the same as Nisha's relationship with her mother. It would not exist anymore. Because I'm tired of it. Because I'm tired of perpetuating these negative cycles that serve no purpose. And I'm not doing it anymore. And I encourage you to do the same thing. If something is not serving you anymore, move around. Get past it. It's going to hurt for a little bit, yeah, but you'll look back 5 years from now and be like, you know what? That was the right decision. At least I hope that's what's going to happen. I think that's all I got for today.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. If you like the show or know somebody who would, please subscribe and share to help us grow the show. You can follow us on all socials at That Infernal NPC. You can listen on YouTube and Podbean at That Infernal Noise, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Please tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.